Hey kids, it's the Miss and the Fly here. I hope you're well. So this is probably not what you expected, so stick around and stay tuned and let's crack on with it.
So huge thanks to my YouTube buddy Norley there of Itchy Boots fame for that introduction. And Norley, if you don't know, has most recently been exploring the world on her Honda CB500X, and that's the subject of today's video. So Norley's CB500X, in fact, is a 2015 model, and in 2019 the bike got a complete ground-up redesign, and for 2021 it's now Euro 5 friendly as well. Now I'll talk you through the details of the bike and the specification in the usual way in a minute, but first of all let's jump on the bike, take her for a ride and see how she feels. Okay, let's take this puppy for a ride then. Let's see what she's all about. Now this particular bike, as I say, 2021, and it's an absolutely brand spanking new motorcycle. Hasn't even been run in. Where's this fella going? It's got 20 miles on the clock, so I'm not going to go absolutely mad. And anyway, I can't go mad because it's a pretty slippery, horrible day around here. Wherever Norley was, her weather was much better than here. But this does give us the chance to have a real world review on the bike on these slightly slippery roads with brand new tyres and brand new brakes. Anyway, what's the first thing that I notice about the CB500X when I jump on? Well, the riding position. Very, very comfy. Sitting nice and upright. My back's nice and straight. My legs are in a slightly bent position. My knees are just a little bit acute here. I quite like that actually. It's more sporty than relaxed. It's closer to, I don't know, it's closer to a sports bike than a Triumph Bonneville, let's say that. Steam me up a little bit in here. Handlebars are nice and wide. And my legs actually feel quite wide as well. Twin cylinder engine, so you wouldn't expect the engine to be particularly wide, but I do feel quite wide here. It's actually a very comfortable position to be. I can see how you could munch a lot of miles on this in great comfort. That said, the seat itself feels a little bit hard. There's plenty of room on it to move around, so you can find a spot that gets you comfortable, whether you're a tall person or a shorty like me. But yeah, very definitely a comfortable bike. Okay, coming to the national speed limit now. Let's just drop her down into third. The gearbox on here is lovely and smooth. The engine sounds lovely. It's the same engine as in the CBR500R that I rode early last year, and I love the sound of that. It's just got a nice bark to it when you wind it up, and it being a twin, it's got plenty of grunt low down as well, so the power's all where you need it. Very, very nice. The clutch on here really, really light as well. Feels beautifully balanced bike, nice and light feel to it, and it feels like I'm sitting really high up as well. Imagine this would make a great commuter because you'd be able to see over traffic, no problem. As I say, it actually feels light as well, so you'd be able to weave through traffic. And then I'm used to riding heavy bikes these days. Okay, nothing behind me. I'm just going to test the brakes. Oh, plenty of braking power on the front. Let me just try the rear brake. Actually, the rear brake's okay. The brakes on here are Nissin calipers. The front's just a 2-pot and the rear single pot. So I didn't think the brakes were going to be very good. So actually that's better than I thought they were going to be. The bike doesn't have traction control, but of course it does have ABS, so you're not going to lock the wheels up unexpectedly. Yeah, more roadworks ahead. Well, gives me a chance to ride her nice and slowly. Let's get her in first. Throttle seems fine, just trundling along here at 9 miles an hour in first. Okie dokie. Is it easy to find neutral? Very easy to find neutral, which is nice. Feet, I'm on the boards of my feet. I'm 5'8" tall, so not a very tall chap. And I'm on the balls of my feet at each side, so it's 830mm seat height, so not particularly short bike, but not very tall either. If you're on average height, you'll be absolutely fine on here. This is quite a bumpy road, but let's turn down here, because it gets even more bumpy. It'll be a good test of the suspension. Love the sound of this motor. Very slippery looking road today. Yeah, lovely plush ride actually. Suspension on it is fairly basic. I mean, it's a fairly basic bike, but it feels nice. It's by no means bone jarring. Again, it's set up for long distance riding, I think. It's not too wallowy or anything like that though. It's not too soft. It's just about right. It's in my infamous Goldilocks zone. Not too soft, not too hard. And again, the suspension relatively simple on here. It's only adjustable for preload both on the front and back, but it feels absolutely fine out of the box, as it were. Not sure why you'd want to adjust it anyway. Yeah, it feels nice and balanced on the corners. Initial impressions very favourable of this bike. Okay, let's see what she's like accelerating. This is one of my favourite little roads to lap down. Yeah, she sounds great. I mean, it's not neck-snappingly fast by any means. It's perfectly adequate. I mean, first gear runs out of puff quite soon, so you're soon into second. But you know, here I am, I'm doing 45 miles an hour in fifth gear. Real world speeds on this bike, absolutely perfect. I'm pleased to say I had this bike long term from Honda. So over the next couple of weeks I'm going to ride this on all sorts of roads and in all sorts of conditions. Today is just my first impressions review. So I do want to try it on some faster roads as well today. It's all going to be back lanes basically. So if you are interested in the CB500X, stick around to the channel, because there'll be a lot more coming on this bike in the next week or two. Yeah, I think my overwhelming impression of this bike, very easy to ride. Nothing complicated about it, no complicated electronics, there's no riding modes on this bike. The switch gear is all very simple. I'm glad to say it's proper switch gear on here. Proper tactile buttons that you can feel. Lighting on this side and a massive horn button. And then the stop start and your hazard lights on this side, and that's basically it. Everything's where you'd expect it to be, and it falls to hand quite nicely. Except of course the horn on the indicators, which is something that well, here come the cops. Something that unmarked car, what is that? Goodness knows what that is. Anyway, yeah, where was it? Yeah, the horn and the indicators in the Honda way is round the wrong way again, so that's always a little bit annoying, but you get used to that. If it's the only bike you ride, it's no problem at all. If you swap between bikes like me, wait there sir, then that can be that can catch you out when you need the horn quickly. But yeah, no problems with the switch gear. Little dash on here is kind of an inverse LCD. Looks really nice. Nice and clear, got everything you need. Obvious what speed you're doing, obvious what revs you're doing. It's got a handy gear position indicator in the middle. And, I'm glad to say, a proper fuel gauge as well. I'll tell you what, if you like a bike on these sort of conditions, then you're going to really love it in the summer, because it's a pretty horrible day. I mean, it's not particularly cold, but it is slippery and wet. What am I indicating? I don't know. Habit. It is slippery and wet. I'm a little bit concerned about the brand new tyres on here, but I'm really enjoying the ride. Such a scuddy day today. I'm going to give this bike back to Honda in a right state. I do apologise. I will of course give it a clean before I give it back, just as a matter of courtesy. Unfortunately it looks like there's no parking down here. Let's see if I can get away with this for a bit. There we go. That should do if I'm quick. Hopefully I'm not going to get in anyone's way. Alright, stand. Fairly easy to find. I'm on a bit of a slope here, so not a great place to put the stand down, but let's see what happens. That's alright. There we go. Alrighty, let's take a look at this puppy then. Looking splendid in the red. Comes in red, a matte black and white, but I think the red really does set it off, doesn't it? It's a absolutely lovely looking machine. Sort of a big traily almost. It feels like a big bike when you're on it. It's a proper motorcycle this, even though it is built to a bit of a budget. It doesn't feel budget in any way, and of course it's got that sort of legendary Honda build quality. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let me get my details out as usual, and I'll talk you through the spec in the usual way. Okay, here we go then. Honda CB500X, the 2021 model. This particular bike has, as I said, the same engine in it as the CBR500R and also the CB500F. It's a 471cc parallel twin. Puts out 35 kilowatts at 8,600 RPM. That's 46.9 brake horsepower according to my Google conversion. If you're in the old money, that makes it A2 license friendly. So this is a bike that's accessible to lots of people. Torque, 43 newton meters of torque at 6,500 RPM, or again in the old school 31.7 foot-pounds, and that, as I say, is at 6,500 RPM, so it's all where you need it. It doesn't feel in any way lacking power. This, I think 500cc is an excellent real-world engine size. You can keep up with traffic. Yeah, it still makes the bike nice and light to handle. Brakes on here, I mentioned it's got a single disc at the front. Let's have a look at this. Looks like it's pedalled. Yep, so it looks quite cool. It's got that Nissin brake caliper, 2-pot caliper, and that's a 310mm single disc on there. And these are non-upside down forks as well. We'll come back to the suspension in a minute. Brakes on the back, again, as you'd expect, slightly smaller disc there. That's a single pot Nissin caliper. On the back is a 240mm disc. Not sure about that exhaust pipe. We've seen pipes that look like that before on bikes, but there we go. That's just one of those things for Euro 5 these days. This bike is fully Euro 5 homologated. Suspension, as I mentioned, the front is conventional here, so not upside down forks, which is quite rare these days. 41mm on the front, and the back is what Honda describe as ProLink monoshock suspension with extended travel. Just looking in there to see if I can find where the shock is. Can't actually see it. What am I doing? Hidden under there somewhere. Oh, there it is, tucked right down the bottom there. And the suspension front and back is adjustable for preload only. Don't know how much travel it's got. As I say, Honda describe it as extended travel, but it doesn't actually say on the website, on the specifications, how much travel it has. But the bike looks like it would, if you put some knobbly tyres on, could be pretty good as a potential off-roader or green lane. And certainly Norley uses hers on all sorts of unpaved roads, so we know it's doable. Weight of the bike, 197 kilograms curb weight, and so if you take off, say, 13 kilograms for fuel, that makes it 184 kilograms dry. So not super light, but certainly not heavy either. It feels a lot lighter than it sounds, given those figures. The tank on here holds 17.7 litres, so quite a reasonable amount for such a small engine, because I imagine it'll be quite frugal. We'll find out as I use it over the next few days. I'm expecting around 75 miles per gallon out of it, so it's not only good value for money to buy, but also nice and cheap to run as well. Talking of the price, $6,199 here in the UK, according to the interwebs. So excellent price. What else can I say about it? Electronics, not much really. That negative display LCD dash, it's got LED lighting all round. Let's have a little look at that. There we go, LED lights front and back. ABS, no riding modes or traction control. Does have a gear position indicator and proper fuel gauge, as I mentioned before, though, which is great news. Other than that, as I say, comes in this red, black or white colour scheme, and there are loads of accessories available for it, including things like a centre stand, which would be really handy. Also panniers, heated grips and all that kind of thing. I'd certainly spec some heated grips if I was getting one here in the UK. Anyway, there we go, that's the spec of the bike, and all I'd say is if it's good enough for itchy boots, it's good enough for you and me. Alright, let's get the show back on the road, and I'm just can't wait for everybody to tell me that I parked in a spot where it said you couldn't park, so don't bother to put those comments. I'm not listening. Alright, there's very few people around today. I've not done any harm. Alright, let's see what this thing's like to start up again then. Alrighty, no one around. Let's go. Yeah, a really friendly bike this, nothing intimidating about it whatsoever. This would make a brilliant first big bike once you pass your test. And then you could use it for absolutely everything. You could commute on this, particularly if you've got the heated grips installed. You could go on your holidays each year and tour on it. Of course, you can get the kit, the top box and so on to fit on it. You'd have an absolute ball. Crikey, I've chosen a pretty disgusting lane to come down. So I must just take this opportunity to thank Honda UK very much for letting me borrow the bike and having it for a long-term loan. Really looking forward to getting to know it a bit more. Actually, let's just take the opportunity to see what it's like standing up. Absolutely fine. You can grip hold of the tank between your legs and knees. Feels nice and balanced. Gives you the chance to stretch your legs as well. I like that about bikes. Some bikes just aren't conducive to standing up, but if you're on a long trip, standing up really does help keep your circulation going. Well, these new tyres and brakes have been behaving absolutely fine. Well, this is a really steep hill. The GoPro won't show it, but trust me, it is. I once had to rescue a fella down here who'd fallen off his GS. I helped him pick it up. It turned out he was a viewer of the channel. It was bizarre. Hello to you, sir, if you're still watching. Hope you're okay. Getting a little foggy around here now. I think it's time for me to head home. Thank you. Okay, so that was very much my first impressions review of the CB500X. I can't actually find anything at the moment I don't like about it. I hate doing bike reviews where I can't find anything that niggles. I did ask Norley as well if there's anything about her bike she didn't like, and she said she just loves it. There's nothing about it she doesn't like. So, and she's done a few more miles on a CB500X than I have, I can tell you. So a pretty good recommendation. Anyway, I will try my hardest to find something I don't like about the bike in the next few weeks, and then I'll bring you my in-depth review of the bike. So if you are interested in one of these, stick around, as I say, to the channel. That video will be coming up very soon. Alright, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and that way I can see you on the next video. Okay, until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio. Okay, so huge thanks there to Itchy Boots for that. Let's do it again. So huge thanks. Norley, if you don't know her, she's of Itchy Boots fame, an incredible YouTube channel. Do go and check her out. I'll put a link below. And the reason...